So, good evening. I thought I'm going to make a short video on how to check and rebuild your oil pump for the 116 and 117 engines. On the other models, the oil pumps are very similar. And the first thing is we have, of course, the main housing, and this is the fluid or the pressure level, oil level sensor, that's correct. And you can see there's a hole on the bottom. I had shown that before, and that's where the oil enters, right above the oil pan about here. And then it flows, and there's a little float in there, which you can hear is stuck on this one. You can hear it a little bit. I got this oil pump here for $40, $42.14 of eBay, and the donor vehicle was an R107, 72,000 miles. And this is the actual pump mechanism here, these two gears. And that's why if you got plastic parts going into this, I will show this in a second here, this won't do any harm. Metal will, but not plastic. And we can take now a closer look and see how good or how bad they are. Mercedes-Benz used to sell them, but they're no longer available. And you can see they have some marks, but they're not greatly worn. So this is probably, I would say, an A- part for spare for this, which you can use. And let's take a look at the other one. Yeah. And these things, they like thick oil, and they like non-synthetic. 1040, 2050, 1050, the heavy stuff. This is what they're made for. And see this? The bearing surfaces are good. They're not running. And this here is my new sprocket. I got that off eBay too. It is the 0012, which is the predecessor of the 0112. And I got that for 80 bucks instead of 200 from Mercedes-Benz. And you can see this, there's usually a little pin sitting in here. And that pin lines up with this mark here, so this. And that fits right like this. So you would drive the pin in and put your screw in. So the play was good. That is a good thing. Now we're gonna use our housing, and we're gonna put this in. Nice, no play. This one will fit either way. Goes in here. No play. Let me zoom out a little bit. Alrighty, so we got both of them in there. See this? This is where the pulley goes, and the other one just sticks out. They have a very nice seat in there. They have no play whatsoever. And then we put the cap on. The cap goes just like this. And we got the 4 bolts here which go in. That's it. That's all she wrote. That's the oil pump. And now, let me take this back out, and the oil pump sits on the engine like this, up. Facing the front of the engine is here, this way, with your wheel going on here, your sprocket. So the sprocket is on, chain goes up to the crankshaft, and this is sitting right above the sump of your oil pan, and this is the thing which caved in on me. And you can see this is now a part which has about 75,000 miles on it, and it is, and the other one, remember, that was new. See, this has still some rubbery parts left, but what happens is if you hit something with your oil pan, this thing will go up inside like this here, like this. And this would not break. It probably will survive it. And this one here we probably can still take off. Let me see if I can, yeah. Let's use the big one. Boy, see how hot that gets? And mine was completely hot, that it was so hot that it actually broke. And here it is. This is your mesh. This is how this sits in there. And then you can see if there was anything in there. This guy didn't have anything break on him. Whatever breaks in your engine, this is the last resting place. So mine broke off here, right here, when the oil pan got hit, when they backed up over something. That pushed that part that sits right on the oil pan, and it pushed itself in. This will actually sit on the oil pan and then push itself up. So you're going to have these 2 or 4 legs here. They're giving you the opening for the oil flow. So we're having a pretty neat oil pump here. Let me just clean this up here a little bit. So for $40, I got a fully working thing. And then the other thing is Mercedes-Benz no longer has any parts for is the pressure regulator. And the pressure regulator is this part here, and you can see this, that has a cutoff part here. We're going to inspect it and see. Let me zoom in so we can see this. There's virtually no wear on the thing. This is nice. Well, 75,000 miles. It's a 86, so it's older than my car. Yeah, that's good. And this is basically the valve to the thing, and it sits in here. Let me see if I get this aligned correctly. It can go in only one way. See this? And it sits in here like this. And it goes forwards and backwards, and that's what regulates your oil pressure. So when you have too much oil pressure in there, then you have the spring. The spring has a lot of tension. A lot of tension. You see this? And the spring is nice and straight. And then we have this plastic piece here, which I guess prevents this from crashing too far back. And then this is the nut on the outside. So this is a fully serviceable pump. This is very, very difficult to get in because you have to really compress this. That would be better done on a workbench, you know, with putting this actually in. That is how much pressure you got on there. But we have a fully serviceable pump, a good pump with good parts. And here it is. This makes a nice seal. The housing is good. It is just dirty. We clean that up with gasoline. And then it's all good. We got a pretty good pump. So I'm going to use this pump here. I hope you could see this. I had that zoomed in. Sorry about this. See, everything is good here. Little bit dirty. And these parts, this is especially the ones, they don't make those. They used to have them, which means you ordered these 2 and you ordered these 3 parts here. So a total of 5 parts, and you had your whole pump rebuilt plus the strainer. And the strainer is plastic. This is the original one. Let me see if we find a date on this. No, unfortunately, no dates. They did not put a date on this here, but you can see for this was rubber that was once as elastic as the one I put in. The mesh, the strain is pretty much still good. There's nothing really in there. But you can see how small it is. And only particles which come down in your engine, which are smaller than this here, will go through this here. And this stuff, you look at this, this is a muncher. This thing will pump your stuff up there no matter what it is. It will grind it down. Any plastic piece, if your rails break and there's something winds up like I had it in there, whatever plastic goes through this here, which is very small, is going to be pulverized in this here. And then the other thing is, oh, I forgot to mention is people say they rebuild their cars or their engines, and they have a hard time getting the engine to pump. Well, the whole sauce, the secret sauce to this is you have to fill the pump up basically up to here, right to this point. You see this about here on that line. This all has to, this is a non-priming pump, and you can put Vaseline on it. It will not create a vacuum. The only way you're going to get this thing to work is when actually fluid flows in from here, from your filter, from here, pushes itself in into this cavity here, which is on the bottom here. This is in this corner, and you have to come at least to this level. So when this is on here and you're filling your engine up, you got to be at least above this part here, right here, in order for this pump to work, to pump any oil. Anything lower than this, the first time, if it is non-primed, and you can't really prime it, you cannot put any fluids in here to make this work. So what you do is you have to basically overfill the engine to this point and then get it going. I'm going to have a ABS hydraulic unit coming, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the ABS unit apart, and I will show you how to test the ABS hydraulic unit. That is that big box in the front next on the right hand side, and I will show you on how simple the Bosch ABS systems actually are, the 3-channel ones. It has only 2 relays, and this thing can, and the pump, there's 3 valves in there, 2 relays, and a pump, electric pump. And you can test that, and you can make sure that that ABS unit works like there's no tomorrow. But we got us a working pump. Yeah, this is what I do usually, is I buy parts before I ever do anything like this on eBay. $20, $40, $50 with free shipping, you know, from a salvage yard. And then I take them apart and I evaluate them. A lot of times like this here, this thing is basically craps for the switch, so the switch is garbage because you can't really resolder this, and you can see this, it is busted here, the insulation is broken. So this thing is basically trashed. This is gonna go. And we will, on this unit, you can actually use the parts, but if you have never taken something apart before, you actually take your part apart in your car and you're trying to figure it out, it is easier and cheaper to just buy a used part of eBay, take that apart, evaluate it carefully, you know, and then take a look at this. And then when you take your part out, you have something to compare to, and if you see I got a broken or worn down part, you can immediately use this. I did this with the power steering pump, I did this with the hydraulic pump for the self-leveling system, and I did that for the cruise control. Mine didn't have one, so I bought 2 cruise control actuators. That's the ones who are sitting in the front left, which moved the actual linkage. And I made 2 out of 1, or I made 1 out of 2. And on the power steering pump, I didn't need it to do anything. I got that for 35 bucks rebuilt. Mercedes-Benz, the guy did an excellent job, works fine with no problems. And that's and the next thing is going to be the ABS unit and the pump, and then of course the hydraulic pump, where I made a video about it on how to rebuild this. But since there is no more parts available, since they're no longer being made, unless you want to go to the special Mercedes-Benz place, which is going to be awful expensive, it's going to be a lower cost alternative. So if you buy 2 or 3 pumps like this, you're going to have probably pumps for the next 1 million miles. That's basically what that boils down to. Each pump gives you 300,000 miles, and then you just replace these parts. Then in this here, in the spring maybe, you're going to be running 3 pumps, 900,000 miles with no problem, and you never have to worry about it because these things will not fail. The only thing is, once you take them apart, you have to make sure you get your oil level up above the here, above that second wheel, so you can get the oil pressure going. Otherwise this pump will poorly suck. It has no vacuum in there, or self, what do you call it, self-suction, self-priming. It is not self-priming. It has to be under the level of the oil in order for this to work properly. Okay, that will conclude this video for tonight, and you have a great evening. Thank you.